Welcome to Conscious Connections, a series of in-depth discussions with Glynis, Colette, Nadine and Karen. In the coming months, we will be sharing with you our expertise, our thoughts and theories, as we invite you to be part of our wonderful and exciting spiritual journey. We introduce you to Glynis Brits, who is a clairvoyant medium and metaphysical teacher based in Gauteng. Glynis has a deep understanding of the human condition, and together with her beautiful spirit guides, gently encourages and inspires everyone to face their daily challenges with love and compassion. Today, Glynis is going to chat a little about herself and how she can be of service to you.
Welcome to Conscious Connections, a series of in-depth discussions with Glynis, Colette, Nadine and Karen. In the coming months, we will be sharing with you our expertise, our thoughts and theories as we invite you to be part of our wonderful and exciting spiritual journey. Today, we have none other than Glynis. Hi there, Glynis.
Hi, Colette.
I'm going to jump straight in and start off with your little bit of a blurb for you, and then we're going to enjoy some wonderful questions. And everyone that's listening and coming to that comes across this and gets to listen to us chat, I hope you enjoy this as much as I do. Glynis is very rapidly found a very soft and warm spot in my heart. So thank you, Glynis, for this opportunity.
Thanks, Colette.
Alrighty. Glynis is a clairvoyant medium and metaphysical teacher. Glynis does private readings and teaches mediumship development, both online and from her home in North Riding, Fourways. She also runs a spiritual online magazine entitled Spirit Connection. This platform was created to inspire and assist people along their spiritual journey, as well as to educate people as to the different modalities that are available to them to bring comfort, healing, and inspiration. Glynis is also a spiritual life coach and has worked with many clients to bring forth enlightenment and direction to their lives. I'm sure there's a lot more fabulous stuff we could say about you, Glynis, but I'm going to ask you questions and we can chat and all that fabulousness will come out.
Sure.
So thank you for that. Okay, where would I like to start? One, I would like to say thank you for your creativity and presence and your very, very strong sense of sisterhood, which is, I think, what connected us in the first place. That sense of lifting each other, being supportive of each other, and just helping each other to shine our light, but to spread it to those that can benefit from our services in a sort of networking kind of way. Yeah. So that would make me curious to understand, how did you get to be like that? I'd like you to share a little bit about your spiritual journey to date, or what got you started, and how have you landed up being so innately aware of the abundance and prosperity of us all working together.
Okay, so it has been a long journey. Okay, I think my beginning and my exposure to there being something bigger and outside of us actually goes back to the 70s, where I first started going to the Spiritualist Church, the Spiritualist Church in Troyville, which is one of the founding churches of spiritual churches in South Africa, spiritualist churches. And of course, I went initially out of curiosity. It was something different. I think perhaps a little bit of my rebellious nature at that time didn't like, my parents were Dutch Reformed Church, I went to a Methodist church, and the spiritualist church was something completely new and different. But along the way, I met some really, really inspiring people there, and I thought, there's definitely something there that links us all and connects us all in a much different way to going and sitting in a church and just getting a service and a lecture, and off you have to go and believe what it is that you've been told. sort of later in, later in life, I started becoming much more involved in terms of sitting in the meditation circles that they used to run. And so I started to learn to be able to connect with the spirit world and understand that we all have spirit guides around us, and we can connect with our loved ones who have passed, and finding out that I actually have the ability to do this as well, knowing that I have this beautiful spirit guide who walks with me every day and shows me, you know, what my life is all about. And so through all of those kind of experiences that I've had, very, very personal experiences of connecting into spirit, of connecting to my own loved ones in spirit, I started to understand that there's a lot more people who need people like me who have taken the conscious decision to make that journey and to learn how to do it. And so then I started doing readings, you know, and I think that through, you know, I worked out the other day, I've probably done more than 5,000 readings over the years. So it's part of it. Girl. And that through doing all those readings, you know, you really get to understand the struggles and the things that people are actually battling with as they go along. And so I think that it's, you know, it has made me actually understand that we need to be supporting each other, and that is our purpose of being on this planet, is to come here and to support each other and to help each other through our lives, not to be, you know, pointing fingers and being judgmental of somebody else because they made mistakes, but to understand, you know, that we also make mistakes, and that we need to be able to forgive ourselves, and we need to be able to forgive others, and we need to move on from those. See those mistakes and things that we've made actually as learning opportunities. And so they're not bad choices, they're not actually mistakes, we just didn't know enough at that time, or okay, now we've been exposed to something that can help us along our journey and help us to deal with it better, you know. So that's kind of what's brought me to this. I've been doing readings for probably about early 2000s. I started doing readings. Yeah, so it's quite some time that I have been doing.
No, 5,000 strong. That places you in a really awesome position to also be teaching these tools to other people to be able to do that for themselves. Thinking of you teaching the mediumship and stuff. It's not enough to just facilitate that for someone else. If they're eager and excited and keen, it's an awesome gift to be able to show someone how they are able to do these things for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And so I do teach mediumship development because, you know, every single one of us here come from the spirit world. We all can communicate with the spirit world. We all can connect into our guides and into the universal consciousness. We can all receive inspiration and guidance and messages. We don't actually have to have a medium to do it for us. You know, so as you say, those people who see it in themselves and think, oh, I really want to learn how to do this, come, I'm here, I can teach you how to do this, you know. I'm not saying I have all the answers. I think we all learn as we go along, but I can certainly teach people what I have already learned and teach people what I know and how I do it, you know.
And what in that process, of sharing the tool, not just the reading, but the tool with people that come to you, I don't know, ignites you, or kind of like talks to that teacher side of you, that part of you that is gifting prosperity and abundance back to someone else for them to really live and feel source through them?
Well, I think probably the first thing is that I can feel that connection to somebody else who is excited about the same thing as I am. Because, you know, people who do readings and things like that, even in today's day and age, are still kind of looked at as being different, as being a little bit weird, a little bit woo-hoo, you know, that kind of
wonderful.
So I mean, it really does. It makes me really happy to be able to share what I know, and make people get that understanding that they can do it themselves, okay? There's not really a specific kind of formula, so it does take a while to be able to teach people how to do it, because everybody works on different, and I don't want to say different levels, because that also kind of separates us, but in different ways, and people see things differently. Just as we see our lives differently. You know, people see the spirit world slightly differently, or have a slightly different understanding. And I help to be able to facilitate that for people to understand that, okay, actually, for me to be able to work with spirit, I need to use crystals. For me to be able to work with spirit, I need to use tarot cards, or that kind of thing. So to find that skill that they have within themselves, because essentially doing readings, connecting to spirit is not a gift. It's a gift that every single one of us give to ourselves. We bring it into this lifetime. We make the conscious choice as spirit beings to come into this lifetime to do this work. So even as I say, everybody can connect into spirit, there are still those who choose that this is going to be their path, and they are going to be the ones who are facilitating the conversations between the spirit in the human form and spirit in the spirit world. So I don't know if that actually answers your question. I can't actually
That does. And thank you for choosing that path, because that's awesome. I can still remember my starting to find those kind of tools and coming across people, and it is only because of people like you that had already done and played and tried it out, and whether it was scrying or crystal balls or any of those things, and yeah, you've got to be able to pass those skills on, and I mean that's what our ancestors did, is passed on tools for all of us. So thank you for choosing that, Glynis. Okay, on the back of that, and I'm sure, because I know I'm curious, and possibly other listeners too, when you speak of the mediumship and your channeling abilities and the readings you do, and I'm going to ask you a little bit later to describe all your kind of offerings, but how did you come about connecting specifically with, I think she's your main guide or your master guide, or kind of the one you use for your readings? Tell us a bit of a story as to how that came into being.
Okay, so, you know, I had this like burning kind of desire to know exactly who my main spirit guide is, because somehow, and I'm not quite sure, but somehow I knew that I need to make that connection to her in order for me to be able to do this work, because it's a collaboration between my main spirit guide and myself. And so it took a lot of intentional meditation. So when I say intentional meditation, it's like when I sat in meditation, it's setting my intention to connect to her, for her to show herself to me, for her to make herself known to me, so that I can learn what her energy is, that I can know what her name is, that I can know what she looks like, and I can know a bit about her and her last life that she lived on this earth plane, if there was a last life that she lived on the earth plane. So the night that I did actually make that absolute connection, her and I became one. She stood behind me and she took herself and wrapped herself completely around my entire body, that I felt like I was her. I felt that I had different skin, a different color skin, because she is an African traditional healer who comes from the Mecca tribe. She showed me that I could feel the different language, that is in thoughts in my head. I could feel very, very wrinkled, the beads around the top of my head. I was dressed differently. There was, I would almost say it's like a near-death experience, because there was this absolute, complete sense of oneness, that sense of union and connection, and being out side of myself. So, sorry about my phone. Yeah, and it didn't last for very long. It lasted probably a few seconds. It felt like forever. And then she kind of slowly drew her energy back behind me again, and I felt her sit next to me. And from that day, I have always felt her sit next to me. So it was a very, and it was a very kind of intimate and personal experience, you know, like one that is very difficult to say to somebody else when you connect with your guide, that's what you're going to experience. But I would love for everybody to have that absolute deep and intense moment where they make their connection to their guide.
Exquisite. Can you give us her name?
Her name is Oshvaria. Spelled O-H-V-A-R-I-A.
Okay, so anybody that comes to you for a reading, they're connecting with two of you as a partnership to bring forth information and guidance for them.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely, always. Yeah.
Okay, that's a power partnership.
It is. It definitely is. You know,
and sounds like a. Yes, tell me. I'm curious to understand how she feels, looks and feels.
She feels like my mother. She feels like she is my mother. So I feel a more intense connection to her than I do to my own birth mother.
Okay.
It's like I was birthed out of her, and so it's almost like in that moment that new Glynis was kind of born. And I did start seeing life very, very differently from the time that I connected with her. And I started behaving differently as well in terms of not being quite so aggressive. I was a very, very aggressive young girl. I grew up in quite an abusive home and had lots and lots of challenges when I was a child, which made me very defensive and made me very, very cut off from people. So when I connected with her, I started to shed all of that as well and started to understand that those things are what have made me what I am, but that I should see the beauty and the love in it and not see myself as this victim who grew up in a terrible environment. And, you know, so those were all blessings to me because they came to me to give me that understanding of how we get to a point in our lives where we realize that we're not here to do our life on our own and that there is this pure, perfect love that is there for each one of us to reach out and to connect to. And if we do it through a medium and she can bring us, she or he, the medium, can bring us that love and that sense of being connected, that's fabulous, but we can learn to do it ourselves as well.
So am I right in understanding that possibly when someone comes to you for the mediumship training, for instance, they're not necessarily just walking away with a skill. They're potentially opening themselves up to not your experience, but an experience that reconnects them with pretty tangible, in a sort of etheric kind of way, but tangible experience of their reconnection and growth and transformation as a soul. Is that a true sort of observation?
Most definitely, because if you make the decision that you want to actually learn to become a medium, it is a way of life. It is a commitment. And if you like with anything, you know, I mean, if you think of yourself when you first met Michael, there was that coming together. You were excited about each other. You wanted to learn everything about each other. But that relationship grew into something where you feel that oneness, where you feel that love and support from him. And you know that he's there not to complete you, but to make you who you are. And so a lot of you kind of just changes just because of that beautiful relationship. And it's the same thing with your relationship with your guide. It's a beautiful union of love that it has to change who you are. You can't go into it and it doesn't change who you are.
Glynis, I will agree with you 100%. There's many a time I've sat and channeled my master guide and either burst into tears because the love is just so insanely indescribable,
Yes,
or you just yes, it's a completely different expression of yourself, and yet you living it and feeling it and breathing it. So I hear you loud and clear, and I think that's an important thing potentially for people that are going to come to you for training, to understand that it isn't just a skill and I'm going to have this little, I don't know, present certificate and now you can go do readings for other people, but that they're actually signing up for their own awakening of a relationship that as yet they haven't ignited. And that comes with, like you say, commitment, responsibility, and an incredible transformative process that can take place.
Most definitely, most definitely. And of course, there's huge responsibility because through readings as well, there's that deep responsibility to somebody coming to you for a reading. You know, that person is coming to you and they're sharing their absolute darkest, deepest moments, because people don't come to you for a reading just because they want a reading. You know, I have the odd occasional person that says, I want to book a reading and I'm curious as to what comes through. It happens maybe twice a year. But mostly people come to you for a reading because they are experiencing something really dark and challenging in their own lives. It might be that, you know, they just had their loved one commit suicide and they want to connect to that person and they want to understand what happened there. And so in those moments, we're able to connect to their loved one in spirit, but through my guide, we're able to give them the understanding of why it is that they went through this experience. Why did they choose to go through this experience? And so they kind of see that as it's something that's not happened to them, but it's about them as well. So it's not only about the person who's gone. You know, so I'm using suicide as a really kind of extreme thing. But, you know, people have lots and lots of difficulties with relationships. They miscommunicate with their partners. They have difficulties with children. They might be going into a second or third relationship where there's children from other parents that are coming into that dynamic, and to learn to kind of understand that. And so the guides give them that kind of you know, they give them an insight into that, and it's all about us understanding our journey, what it is that we chose in this lifetime, and why we're going through these things. So whilst within a reading we'll get, you know, loved ones who will come through and in support of what the guides are showing, I would say that probably 2/3 of my readings are from the guides, or the guides giving people insight into their lives, to help them to be able to navigate through their lives, not feeling so much like they're completely alone, like, you know, they're the victim, this is being done to them, if I can just learn how to get this person away, block them because they're blocking me, you know, and for people to see that kind of much more intense and deeper meaning in their own lives as well.
Beautiful. That sounds multi-layered and very rich with possibilities. And I love it when something is not just what it is. It's got potential for in this case, their own growth and what have you. What if someone's coming to you for the first time? Let's say I'm one of those that goes, okay, Glynis, I'd like to have one of those readings where I just want to, whatever comes through, I just want to put my hand up and experience you. What would that look like, and what are the other offerings that you have for people that are drawn to a needing, just a little bit of a helping hand, a little bit of guidance and insight? Yeah,
and I would say that very much the way you work as well with the conversation. People come in to see me, it's a conversation. I don't want somebody to sit in front of me and listen to what I have to say and take it at face value as well. So I do invite the person coming to see me to have a conversation with me. And even if it is that they have absolutely no expectation of that reading, you know, my guide will start, as we have that conversation, my guide will start to say to me, oh, this lady has come to see you actually because she's having these X, Y, Z, whatever these problems are. And so I build that then into the conversation so that it allows that person to be able to open up as well. Because as soon as you kind of hit that note, even though they said to you, they have no expectation, they do have something that they are working on, and perhaps doesn't really want to bring it up. Sometimes, you know, they're wanting to see how much you actually are able to cut. So, you know, yeah, and as we go through that conversation, my guides will be connecting with their guide as well, which is how we get the information. Like, it's almost like the two guides are sitting there in the spirit world and saying, listen, your lady needs to talk about this, whatever it is. And then the conversation will flow. And as that conversation is flowing, I'm also sort of downloading information from my guide, and I'm downloading that inspiration that I'm getting from her. So none of the advice or the, you know, the answers and things that I'm giving are purely mine. They come to me through my guide, and they come from, you know, the person who's come to see me as well. They come from their guide as well. So there's that whole big conversation kind of thing that's going on.
Beautiful, I love it.
And then in that process as well, you know, that person might have walked in and their mother has come in with them, you know, and so your mother in spirit, and then, you know, she'll say, listen, I'm here, and I just actually want to be able to say something as well. So we have loved ones who will come into those readings as the part of the inspiration for that person as well, as, you know, part of confirming, yes, okay, you know, you actually are doing the right thing. I watch you, I'm with you, I'm your mother, I love you, and I see how you interact with these people, and you're not doing anything wrong. But just be aware of X, Y, Z. So it's really, it's a lovely experience because, you know, if you think about how your relationship is with your mom when you're on the earth, you know, you would like to be able to phone her and say, you know, I'm having difficulty here, like what would you suggest? So, you know, she kind of comes through in that same sort of vein as well. Some people will come to me for a reading specifically to just connect with their loved ones. And, you know, as soon as they say to me, look, I've just recently lost my brother, and, you know, especially now with COVID, so many people have lost so many family members. And then, like, as they're talking, and I've just recently lost my brother, I start to get like an impression in my mind of, okay, this is the brother, this is what he looks like. And, you know, I'll say, oh, well, was your brother really, really tall? Did he have a beard? You know, was he always smartly dressed? And, you know, and then once the connection is made, then, you know, the message from him will come through as well. And then I'm there to facilitate that conversation. So that and things as well.
Okay, so we've got personal readings with sort of guidance and insight to help the person in their current situation. We've got readings that allow connection with souls that have passed over. What other readings do you offer?
You know, I do handwriting analysis as well, which is something that I never ever promote. But I do the odd one here and there. I used to do them at fairs and, you know, open days and that kind of thing, because they actually are a little bit of fun as well. But there's a lot more, like, deeper meaning in it. So, like your signature, I can read a lot about you just from the way you sign your name. Tell you a lot about yourself just from the way you sign your name. Your doodles are the most fascinating things. They give us such insight into how you see yourself, how you work your way through the world, how you express yourself. You know, and it's like no coincidence that psychologists also use, you know, your drawings to be, especially with children, because that is a way that you express yourself. So I look at that, and then I can, you know, just through like a sample of your writing. So if you want a full reading, I can do the sample writing, the signature, and the doodles. And then through that, I can't really sit in front of you and do the whole thing because I have to have the time to analyze it all.
Yes.
And then, so then I will type up a report and do it in that way. So I'm quite happy once I've done it to sit and go through the report with you. But it becomes quite self-explanatory anyway, you know. So, yeah, so there's those kind of three ways.
That sounds loads of fun, and also it sounds like it could make for a beautiful gift for a friend that needs a birthday present and they've got everything already. Why not give them something as different and alternative and insightful as a gift from Glynis and her ability to analyze doodles and signatures? I love that.
Yeah,
and then of course you've got the teaching.
Yes, and then and so I do have a course that I have created, which is called Connecting to Your Spirit Guide, which is kind of evolved and developed into a few videos. So there's 12 modules of videos,
nice.
which I developed because of COVID, because of not being able to have anybody come and sit with me in my lounge and let us do, you know, the course together. So that course, you can do it on your own. I'm still very much available because I give you homework and I expect you to come back to me with, you know, what you've done for your homework and that kind of thing. So as you're doing that course by yourself, I'm available once a week for us to have a session and to talk about everything that you've got or questions that you may have, things that you might not really understand about it. So, but you really can do it completely on your own. In each module, there is a guided meditation that my guides gave to me, so they were channeled by my guides. The first one is not. The first one is a meditation from another lady that I actually copied, but it's a beautiful, beautiful meditation, and she has had no objection to me using it. So the first one is hers, and it's called Sitting in the Power. So it kind of teaches you how to sit in your own power whilst you're connected into the universe. And then the rest of them have the one module of the teaching, and then the guided meditation links into what you've learned within that module. So, teaching you, you know, how to meditate, and then you go through that meditation, teaching you what the universal consciousness holds for you, and taking you on a navigated tour of the universal consciousness, that kind of thing. Actually meeting your guide. So there's that, and then I do just the mediumship development, which, if it's done on its own, you really do need to have been sitting in some kind of circle for quite some time. So you need to be able to understand that there is a spirit world out there, and you need to have already been able to kind of connect in some way, so that I can then help you. You might not yet know who your guide actually is, but through that I can help you, and you know, then we just work on that, developing, getting messages, how they come through, interpreting them as well.
Okay, that's an important thing to make note of, is the training that requires someone to be already on a spiritual path, and they've already done a bit of work and so on, and expose themselves to different tools. Whereas the other one, a newbie could come along and start their 12-step journey of finding out about themselves through the meditation.
And most definitely. So what I'm busy doing now at the moment is combining the two. So I've got 12 modules that I am doing with 2 classes that I have going at the moment, where we're doing the one of the modules in 1 month, and then the development at the same time. So the other week, we sit in the development circle only. 1 week of the month, we do one of the modules. So you have to know as well, like, if you're committed to doing this, it takes a long time, like a minimum of a year it's going to take you. So you have to be able to commit into that as well. You know, you can come, you can start, and it's happened on many occasions as well, where somebody has felt like it's something that they really want to do, and 3 weeks down the line they go, this isn't for me, I'm not going to do it. So, you know, you can start on it as well, and if it doesn't resonate with you, you can fall out of it as well. I'm not holding you to a year's commitment of paying me to come every week.
No, but I think what you're expressing is that a journey with spirit is one of commitment. Whether it's signing up with you or anyone else, it's actually about your commitment to self. It's your real commitment, not to the fun of, I don't know, the sort of airy-fairy type of stuff, but it is a true expression, and having listened to you speak earlier on, so much of what you're teaching people is actually their experiential process of themselves, their own learning, and they become their own student teacher. So I think it's important to honor that responsibility and commitment, and the freedom to choose, okay, it doesn't resonate, so I'm moving along. But that's important.
Yeah, and I mean, even if I look back at myself and I see, you know, how I did readings maybe when within the first sort of 5 years of me doing readings, to how I do readings now, it's also very, very different, because I've got better at it. The more I do it, I have gotten better at it, which I suppose is anything. If you decide to become an artist and you go and you start learning, it takes you a year or 2 years to actually, fine-tune what tools you use, whether it's canvas, oil, charcoals, that kind of thing. It takes you a while to kind of develop into that. Then the more you work on your paintings, your drawings, the better you get at it. Because it's the same thing. So just take a while.
Sorry, apologies. So, Glynis, if someone was picking the combo course or the 2 standalone courses, or having their handwriting assessed by you, or coming to connect with you to meet with a passed over family member, what have you, are they all the same paths to getting hold of you, and sort of email addresses and the contact details we're going to give? Can anybody wanting any of those things use those details to get hold of you?
Yeah, absolutely. And my number is all over the internet. You just type Glynis Brits and it will come up somewhere. And I've had the same phone number since cell phones were introduced into South Africa. So if you find a cell phone number that was published in 1999, whenever, it's the same telephone number. So that is no change. But I can be found through my website, which is spiritconnection.co.za. I have a Facebook page as well that you can find me on. I have a YouTube channel where these videos are going to go up on that channel as well. Also on my YouTube channel, I've got a way of teaching people, which is like a series of videos that I started that's called Step Into Your Best Self. And they really are just like inspirational videos for people to watch. They're not long, they're 3 to 5 minutes long. And it's just kind of short little messages of how you can actually step into your best self and inspire you just to see, that, none of us actually are flawed. And I'm hoping that through that step into your best self, we actually get to see this beautiful, pure, amazing spirit being that should be so excited about living every single day.
Well, Glynis, I love that you've gone full circle, that stepping into yourself, that gift of little video clips that you're describing now on your YouTube, for me now sums up exactly the prosperity and the sharing and the gifting your kindness and your presence to people that I introduced you on. So I love that you brought it all the way around and back to that. And I hope lots of people that are watching and listening and get to come and come across our conversations now or in the future decide to go and click on those stepping into their better selves and enjoy that abundance of you too. And thank you for doing that. That's a beautiful gift to share with people, especially because we know people don't always pick up the phone and they don't always book the reading, but that doesn't mean that they haven't picked up nuggets of insight or value or information from hearing or listening to you. So thank you. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Anything else you would like to just finish off on a high note and share with people?
Just to say, life is not as tough as what we make it. I did a talk yesterday at the Krugersdorp Spiritualist Church, and it was all about our perception and our awareness. And really, like, you know, understanding that our perception of our life is what creates our awareness of our life. So when we become, or it creates our reality in our lives. So the more we become aware of ourselves and aware of what I'm saying is this beautiful, amazing, all-powerful, all-creative, you know, fantastic spirit being that we are in this like, human body that some of us don't really like, the easier our life will become. So, and that's kind of what I want to inspire everybody every day, is to see, yeah, you know, we go through difficult times, but that's not what defines us. That's not what makes us who we are.
100%. I think that's a high note, definitely. Glynis, thank you very, very much for your love and for your time and for all of the little nuggets and the big nuggets and the stepping stones and the modules and the that doodling one sounds very, very cool. Thank you for sharing that with everybody.
Okay, fabulous. Thanks, Colette.
My pleasure.
Okay.
Yes, lots of love.
Bye-bye.